She came home late on a Tuesday and tossed her toad on the bench like the house was a hotel lobby. No hello. No kiss on the cheek. She walked straight to the fridge, opened a can of seltzer, and scrolled her phone with the door still open. I asked how work went. She shrugged without looking up. Fine. You're an hour late. Traffic. I waited. Nothing. No question back. No curiosity if I'd eaten. When I stepped closer and tried to hug her, she leaned sideways and let me hug air. Cassie, I said, steady. What's going on with you? She shut the fridge and finally looked at me like I was a customer who'd wandered behind the counter. You're reading into things again, Nate. Don't start. If I'd known where that shrug was headed, I would have recorded it and saved myself a month. She gave me a smile with no heat in it. You're getting paranoid. It's not a good look. I pulled my hands back. Paranoid is a word people use when they don't want to answer simple questions. I just answered. Drop it. She grabbed her toad and went upstairs. No kiss. No nothing. I watched the staircase like it had taken my place. The next morning, I told myself it was a rough week. By Friday, I knew better. I tried to be rational about it. Cassie and I had built a tight, practical life. I run a remodeling crew. She works in property management. We used to swap stories about crazy tenants over tacos. Now she kept her phone face down and said she was tired. When I touched her shoulder in bed, she turned to the wall. At Brooke's suggestion, I didn't jump to conclusions. Brooke is Cassie's older sister, the one who introduced us. We went to the same high school. She knew I wasn't a drama guy. We met for coffee on my way back from a job site. Brooke showed up in scrubs from her shift at the clinic, hair in a bun, sharp as ever. What's the read? She asked, sliding into the booth. She's cold. She jokes it off. She changed her phone lock code. Brooke frowned. Did she say why? She said company policy. But she works in leasing, not at the Pentagon. Brooke tapped the table. Okay, don't poke. Try warmth first. Cook dinner. Plan a date. She's stressed. Property managers get sandwiched between owners and tenants. Lay off the questions and remind her you're her person. I nodded. I can do that. You always could, she said. Just don't push. That night, I made a steak and her favorite cauliflower mash. I put my phone in the drawer and lit 2 candles because Brooke said romance never killed anyone. Cassie walked in, saw the table, and laughed like I'd used our plates for a prank. What's this, Nate? Dinner. Sit. Cute. I'm not that hungry. You ate. Snacked with the team. I kept my voice even. Then sit for the company. She dropped into the chair like she was being polite at a neighbor's barbecue. I poured her sparkling water. She checked her phone twice in 10 minutes. I tried to start small. I finished the deck at the Harris job. The inspector liked it. MHM. How's the new building on 5th? Busy. Want to take Saturday. Drive up the coast. Get out of the grind. She smirked at the candle. You found Pinterest. I found my wife is distant, and I'm trying to fix it. See? Paranoid. She pushed the plate back, barely touched. We don't need to drive. I'm going to yoga with Jess. Is Jess new? She stared at me, bored. You don't have to know every detail. I let the silence sit. I know enough. I'm offering time. She stood, grabbed her tote. Don't be clingy. It's weird. Clingy. That word stuck like a splinter. I blew out the candles and put the steak in the fridge. The next day Brooke texted, how'd it go? Like I served dinner to a ghost. Try flowers at work. Keep it light. I sent flowers and a card. That night Cassie dropped the bouquet on the dryer and said, thanks. The office girls made jokes. Good jokes. Annoying jokes. Okay, I said. Then let's go out. Saturday. New place by the river. She shrugged. We'll see. Saturday morning she left for yoga with Jess. Came back after midnight with a thin story and a thicker wall. I kept my voice level. I waited up, I said from the couch. She kicked off her shoes. Don't wait up. It's needy. You were gone 14 hours. We did brunch after. Then Jess had a thing, and we crashed at her friend's place. It takes 14 hours to crash at a friend's place. Stop interrogating me. She headed upstairs. Over her shoulder. You're suffocating me. I stared at the staircase again. It looked like an exit sign. Sunday, I did one more Brooke-approved gesture. I put together a folder called Just Us, with ideas. Cooking class, small town bed and breakfast, a weekend flight to Charleston. I put the printouts on the kitchen island and made coffee. Cassie walked in, saw the folder, and sighed like I'd left a mess. What now? Options, I said. Pick one. Your call. She flipped through without reading. This is a lot. It's effort. It's you trying to manage me. It's me trying to be married. Marriage isn't a travel brochure. She shoved the folder back. You need to relax. Then pick what relaxing looks like, I replied. I'll follow your lead. She glanced at her phone, typed something. I'm going to my parents for dinner. We're both invited? No. I need space. There it was. I set the mug down. You've had space all week. You're keeping score. She turned toward the door. Gross. Cassie. She paused. Here's my score, I said. No more gestures. No more guessing. You want space, you've got it. I'm done forcing us into rooms where I'm the only one talking. She blinked, a little thrown. Finally. I'll be late most nights this week, I added. Crew's doing an office build-out across town. Don't wait up. She gave me a thin smile. I won't. She was right. She didn't. The new routine set in fast. I started taking evening beers with my buddy Marcus after the job. I hit the gym later. Some nights, I stopped by Brooke's place for a plate of whatever she'd made for her kids and conversation that didn't feel like chess. I didn't hide it. I left my schedule on the whiteboard and moved my pillow to the guest room. I wasn't sleeping next to a wall. On Wednesday, Marcus watched me check my phone and not text. You good, man? I'm reorganizing, I said. How's she taking it? Like a person who wanted space and got it. He nodded. Sometimes giving a person what they want is the loudest answer. Thursday, Brooke called while I was loading tools. You okay? She asked. You sound colder. I'm done chasing, I said. You told me to be warm. I was. Now I'm being clear. She'll notice. She already did. Her response? Finally. Brooke was quiet. Keep me posted. Cassie started coming home even later. Some mornings she rolled in at 6 and used the same 3 lines. Girls' night ran long. And my mom wanted company. And Jess had a crisis. I didn't argue. I logged it. The absence did my work for me. Friday night, I got home at 10. Cassie was in the kitchen in leggings and a hoodie, surprisingly cheerful. I grabbed Ty, she said, holding up a bag. You hungry? I put my keys in the bowl. I ate with Marcus. Oh, she set the bag down, softer voice. I was thinking we could watch that show you like. That a peace offering? I asked. It's not a war. Sure felt like one last week. She touched the bag. Look, I know I've been off. Work is heavy. I'm not great at asking for help. Try asking. She met my eyes and held them for the first time in a month. Help me reset. I nodded. I can give you Saturday. No phones. Walk by the lake. Brunch. Your call. Her mouth softened. Okay. Saturday morning, she was all small talk and light touches she hadn't offered in weeks. She let me hold her hand on the path by the lake. We ate eggs at a diner and joked about the couple in the corner arguing over maple syrup. It felt like a thaw. At home, she settled next to me on the couch and rested her head near my shoulder. She took a breath. Thank you for being patient. I'm sorry I was rough. I nodded. Progress. Yeah. She smiled and then stepped away to grab laundry. 5 minutes later, the laundry didn't appear, but the front door did. It shut quietly. I looked out the window and watched her Uber pull away. She texted 20 minutes later. Jess needs me. Rain check. I stared at the message, then at the quiet house. The thaw evaporated. Monday, I tightened the screws on my schedule. I moved our shared budget app out of joint control and set up a separate account for my personal spending. I told her in one line. New setup. Shared bills paid like clockwork. Everything else separate until we sort this. She replied with a thumbs-up emoji. That night, Brooke called. What happened after the apology? She asked. She used it like a pass. Classic rope-a-dope. I'm sorry. Don't be. I'm acting like an adult. I'm not rewarding fog. Brooke exhaled. You sound like you. Tuesday, Cassie tried a different angle. She waited up. When I got home, the lights were low and she wore an old college sweatshirt I used to steal. She'd lit a candle. The house smelled like vanilla and effort. She patted the couch. Come sit. I hung my jacket. What are we doing? Resetting. We tried that Saturday. I know. I messed that up. I want to try again. I sat on the other end of the couch. Talk. I was unfair. You didn't deserve my tone, she said. I love that you tried. I shut down. That's on me. It is, I said. So what is your version of forward? She looked at me like I'd broken script. Can't we just be nice? Nice is the surface. What's underneath? Where have you been? What do you want? Nate, you do this thing where you turn coffee into a deposition. I do this thing where I ask for a straight answer. She stared at the candle. I'm tired. Can you not? Then we're not resetting. We're staging. She rolled her eyes. You're impossible. Or I'm done being played. She stood up fast. You know what? I was trying. You killed it. Right. I got up, walked to the kitchen, and opened the drawer with the spare keys. I put one on the island. House key for the dog sitter and your parents' stays. The spare I gave you for in case you forget yours comes back. We're in a new phase. She glared. You're really doing this. I'm not a Matt. I'm a man, I said. New rules until we talk for real. And schedule your nights. Don't surprise me with ghost shifts. You don't own me. I own my sanity. She let out a small, disbelieving laugh. You'll come around. We'll see. She left the spare key and stomped upstairs. I added it to the drawer and felt the house get a little quieter. 2 weeks of this, and my patience wasn't the only thing clocking out. My gut started to feel like a carpenter's level that wouldn't settle. I can handle stubborn. I can't handle stories that don't add up. Marcus said it out loud at O'Malley's, where the only romance is the bartender's tattoo. Hire someone, he said. Stop guessing. I'm not trying to become a movie detective. You're not. You're the guy who reads invoices before he pays them. Get data. He wasn't wrong. I made a call to a guy we'd used once to find a contractor who ran off with a deposit. Alvarez. Former something. Now a man who lives in details. We met in his small office next to a trophy shop. He listened, didn't blink much, and wrote dates with a tidy hand. When I finished, he asked one question. What's your endgame if I bring you everything you're afraid of? My endgame is to stop talking to myself, I answered. He nodded. Give me a week. I paid the retainer. On the way out, I stopped for air because the room felt smaller than it was. That week, I didn't hover. I stuck to my new pattern. Cassie stayed out with Jess twice and once with Mom. She seemed almost cheerful that I didn't press. On Friday, Alvarez called. We're done. Come by. He handed me a folder when I sat down. Not thick. That made it worse. Plain, he said. Dates. Times. Places. Discretion maintained. I flipped it open. I saw Cassie in photos taken at a distance, walking into a restaurant with a man I didn't know, stepping out of a building that wasn't ours at 2 in the morning, sitting in a car laughing at something he'd said. The timestamps matched her Jess logs. There were screenshots of public check-ins linked to a guy named Drew who worked near her building. There were 2 days she'd said Mom's place, where Alvarez had her car parked outside Drew's apartment. My jaw didn't clench. My decision did. Alvarez spoke gently. I've handled worse reactions. I'm not going to break your chair, I said. I didn't think you would. What's fair? Invoiced hours. That's it. I paid. I put the folder in the passenger seat and sat a minute. The car smelled like pine from a cheap air freshener, and the last month finally made sense. At home, I put the folder on the kitchen table like a tool bag. I waited. Cassie came in around 9, hair rumpled like the wind had opinions. She set her tote down, saw me at the table, and froze halfway into a smile. What's that? She asked. Documentation. She tensed, then played casual. Work stuff. Verification. She tossed her keys in the bowl. Nate, if this is another. Sit. She didn't. She hovered, arms crossed. If you're going to accuse me of something, get it over with. I opened the folder to a photo of her in that blue sweater she reserves for days she wants compliments, walking beside Drew. I turned the folder so she could see. She moved closer, saw the timestamp, and her face went flat. I spoke quietly. You were at Jess's that night. Except this is not Jess. She swallowed. You hired someone. I did. That's invasive. That's clarity. She lifted her chin. You shouldn't have done that. And you shouldn't have lied to me about where you were. She didn't argue. She didn't bother with a story. That told me everything about respect levels in our house. She just closed the folder with 2 fingers and looked at me like the meeting was over. I'm just sorry you found out this early, she said. It would have been easier if we waited. I stared. Easier for who? For you. She replied, like she believed it. You get to keep your dignity. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Cassie. She cut me. Don't make this dramatic. It happens. I stood, pushed my chair back, and kept my voice low because I knew the volume wasn't where strength lives. You're right, I said. It does happen. It's happening right now. And it ends right now in my house. Get your essentials tonight. The rest can be scheduled with a friend here to grab it while I'm not around. You don't sleep here anymore. She laughed sharp. You can't be serious. That man is better than me, right? I said, not asking. Perfect. Go be with him. Her mouth curled. Finally, we agree. He is better. There it was. The thing you don't come back from. Not just the facts in the folder. The satisfaction in that line. I pointed at the hallway. Go. She stared me down like she could blink me into compliance. When that failed, she grabbed a duffel and collected clothes with stiff, efficient movements. At the door, she turned. You'll regret this, she said. I'll regret wasting another week on someone who tells me her replacement plan, I answered. You can pick up the rest Saturday at 10. Text Brooke if you want a witness here. I'll be out. Her eyes tugged at the name. Why Brooke? Because she introduced us. She deserves to see how it ends. Cassie scoffed and left. I called Brooke. I told her the story without adjectives. She went quiet, then swore once under her breath and apologized for it to no one in particular. I had no idea, she said. She told me nothing. Not your job to monitor her. Brooke's voice sharpened. Where are you right now? Kitchen. I'm coming over. You don't have to. I'm coming. She showed up 20 minutes later with a bag of snacks like we were going to watch a game. She stepped in, looked at me, and didn't hug me because she knows I'm not the hug-on-impact type. She handed me a bottle of seltzer and took the chair across from me. Walk me through it, she said. I did. She listened with her elbows on the table like a coach. When I finished, she drummed her fingers once and nodded. You handled it, she said. I handled it late. You handled it when you had facts. That's not late. That's precise. We talked until 2 about everything except the folder. Her kids' science fair disasters. Funny things patients say at the clinic. Marcus's ridiculous truck. I slept in the guest room and woke up with a clear list. At 9 a.m., I called an attorney a friend recommended and booked a morning appointment. I brought the folder and the timeline, and we kept it simple. No drama, just paperwork. By afternoon, the process had a path. I texted Cassie the schedule to pick up the rest with a neighbor watching. She replied, whatever. Brooke kept her kids with her mom that night and came by to sit on the porch while Cassie's friend carried out boxes. Cassie glanced at Brooke, waiting for a savior. Brooke looked back like a person who balances a budget for a living. Your pickup window ends at 10, I told Cassie, checking my watch. Cassie rolled her eyes and carried another box. 1 month later, the marriage was a stamp on a packet and a new lease on silence. The house breathed better. I moved my tools into the garage, bought a modest used truck I'd been eyeing, and took on a big job for a law office. Clean lines, real wood, good money. I didn't put my life on hold. I rotated nights with Marcus at the bar, Sunday dinners at Brooke's with her kids, and Thursdays with my crew at a bowling alley none of us are good at. My hands were busy. My mind was calm. Brooke checked on me less because I needed it less. We were close before. Now we were the kind of close where you can sit in the same room and do nothing without it being a statement. 2 months after the paperwork dusted off, a knock came at my door at 9 on a Wednesday. Brooke was at my place, sitting on my couch with her laptop open, helping me compare insurance quotes. She looked up. I looked through the peephole. Cassie stood on the porch with no makeup and too many tissues. She saw me and started crying like she'd practiced. I opened the door halfway and leaned on it. Nate, she said, voice trembling. Please. What do you need? I asked. I need to talk. I made a mistake. A huge one. Be specific. I left. I left for something that wasn't real, she said. I thought I needed to feel alive. It was stupid. I miss our home. I miss you making coffee. I miss your dumb jokes when you install light fixtures. I'm sorry. I know I was cruel. I know I pushed you away. I can fix it. I want to fix it. Please let me try. My face didn't move. So he dropped you that fast. Her mouth opened, shut, opened again. That wasn't the reply she had teed up. She expected a sermon or a hug. She got neither. Behind me, Brooke couldn't help it. She laughed. Not mean. Honest. The kind of laugh that escapes when a balloon finally pops. Cassie's eyes cut past me. You're here, she snapped. Brooke set her laptop aside and stood. She walked to the doorway and leaned on the frame next to me. I am. Cassie's face twisted. So that's how it is. 2 months, and you've got my sister moving in. Brooke choked on another laugh. I'm comparing his insurance premiums, Cass. Relax. Cassie ignored her. You replaced me already? I stared at her evenly. You replaced me before you packed a bag. Difference is, I didn't come crawling back when the replacement plan blew up. Don't be cruel, she said, voice shaking. I'm asking for forgiveness. Forgiveness is separate from access, I replied. So you won't even talk? She looked around me at the house like it would help plead her case. Everything here is us. Everything here is paid by me, I answered, and cleaned up by me when you chose something else. Wow, she said. You changed. You became cold. I became precise, I said. You want a translation? Here it is. We're not a thing. We're a story that ended when you enjoyed telling me someone else outranked me. That was a terrible thing to say, she whispered. Then you remember it. She wiped her nose and tried one more lane. We can rebuild. People do. People do, I agreed. We're not those people. So that's it. That's it. Brooke nudged the door wider with her hip, ready to end it. Cassie stared at Brooke, angry and hurting and not used to the math of consequences. Not even a conversation? Cassie pushed. No. How have you been? No. Let's try counseling. Nothing. You want me to bring a counselor into a house you walked out of like it was a waiting room? I said. I'll pass. Unbelievable, she muttered, pacing a small line on the porch. And you? She snapped at Brooke. You're loving this. Brooke didn't flinch. I'm loving that my friend isn't being insulted in his own kitchen anymore. I'm not loving that my sister turned into someone who says what you said. That's on you. Cassie looked back at me, eyes wet but sharp. You're really proud of yourself right now. I tilted my head. I'm proud I didn't yell. I'm proud I didn't beg. I'm proud I moved on without making my next chapter about your chaos. Her hands shook. You'll regret this when you realize I'm the best thing that happened to you. Today I'm the best thing that happened to me, I answered. She glanced at Brooke's hand on my shoulder and started ranting, louder now, reaching for a weapon that wasn't there. Not even 2 months, and you already found me a replacement, she accused. Figures. Men are all the same. I couldn't stop it. I laughed. Right in her face. Not to hurt. To end the theater. You left me for your hobby, and when it stopped clapping, you came back for the house you didn't pay for, I said. And you want me to pretend we're a good movie? No. Show's over. Brooke stepped closer to the threshold, looked at Cassie with a calm I recognized from her clinic voice, then reached and slid an arm around my back. She did it like an older sister would, but it landed like a message. Well, sis, Brooke said lightly, you still know how to brighten a Wednesday. Cassie's face froze, then cracked, then refroze into anger. You too are disgusting. You were loud on my porch, I replied. I prefer quiet inside. She opened her mouth for one last pass. I didn't give her the space. Take care of yourself, I said, and closed the door. Not a slam. A clean shut. Through the wood, her voice kept working. Accusations. The greatest hits. Brooke looked at me and raised an eyebrow. I shook my head, smiled despite myself. You see her face when you hugged me? I asked. I'll never forget it, Brooke said, then did an impression that made me snort. We walked back to the kitchen, poured coffee, and sat. The porch concert faded after 10 minutes. The sound of a car door. Then nothing. That was the last time I saw Cassie at my door. Life didn't pause for the echo. I finished the law office build. The senior partner loved the maple shelving and hired my crew to remodel his home library. I hired another guy and raised my rates because my work justified it. I moved some savings into a down payment on a small rental duplex. Brooke ran the numbers with me and told me where I was being too conservative. I bought a simple fishing boat with a motor that behaved as long as you didn't push it. Saturday mornings became water, not wondering. The house didn't feel empty. It felt accurate. I put the guest room back into a guest room. I kept the dining table because I like having a place to sit and talk that isn't a couch. I cooked simple meals and invited friends without checking if someone else would approve the menu. I slept well. Brooke and I stayed exactly what we were, allies with history. She moved on with her own life, a promotion at the clinic, kids who climbed on my shoulders and asked me to fix a toy before they'd asked their mother. The neighborhood started seeing me as the guy with the nice truck and the good-smelling smoker I brought out on Sundays, not the man with a storm cloud at home. As for Cassie, I heard pieces. A neighbor mentioned she moved into a small apartment closer to downtown. Marcus said he'd seen her once at a coffee shop with the same guy, but the air between them had that brittle look people get when the fun part is over and the bills are due. I didn't dig for more. Her life became weather I didn't check. Some nights I sit on my porch with a seltzer and watch the street. I think about the folder on the table, about the line she dropped like a trophy, "He's better," and how that sentence was a gift. It spared me months of gray. It gave me a clean exit. If you want to bow on it, here it is. I didn't win because she lost. I won because I stopped negotiating with someone who enjoyed setting me on fire just to feel warm. I changed the rules. I followed through. I got the life you get when you don't lie to yourself in your own kitchen. When people ask me now if I'd do anything different, I say one thing. I'd pay Alvarez sooner. Then I laugh, finish my drink, and lock my door from the inside because that's where the respect lives.